We got the same blood type, got eyes like broken headlights.
Here with Emilie Johannesen, who we met 7 months ago, and I think we were sort of considering making a film. And I'll just start by saying that how grateful I am that we actually feel like we've completed something. I'm not sure what it is yet, but we're close to finishing an edited version of it. And I'm just going to hand it over to Emilie. How did it all come about for you?
I suppose it all started probably in September, when you really just needed a hand on a really short film. Just needed someone to sit on a bench, and I was very much just aching to be creative again, because I hadn't been for at least maybe a month.
What job did you do leading up to that then? What was
that summer I had done 2 short films, one both in July actually, one in early July and one in late July. So it'd been like a month without really doing anything. And when you just said, oh hey, I have this tiny little thing, do you mind coming down to the South Bank? South Bank is where it all started. I was very much like, yes, let's just do it.
In fact, that's a really good point to start on then, because what did you experience that day that was different in terms of the working relationship that we've had in comparison to the 2 short films you did previous? What was different on that day, or if anything?
Well, there was a lot of freedom there, because you didn't have a set script, so to say. It was a poetry piece which the dancer danced along to the poetry and had already written, so there was no script for me to follow. It was more that the director, you, had a general idea of that. You thought, okay, we need a woman here, we're not quite sure what we need yet, but let's sort of improvise and figure it out as we go. And that was very different.
It was nice because you didn't have to come and learn lines or anything.
No, yeah.
So you were able to sort of actually feel this character develop from the ground up, weren't you?
Yeah, and you were asking me questions, that even just like sat me on a bench and just like, okay, what are you doing here? And I sort of had to go like, oh, okay, what am I doing here, except for sitting here and letting the camera film my back or a little bit of my face. So that was quite interesting to sort of already then start to build a story
of who she might be and why she went there, because we played along the melancholic journey, didn't we? And didn't we speak a little bit about, correct me if I'm wrong, that he was trying to communicate with you on some sort of level that we didn't quite understand?
No, definitely. We saw that there was something a little bit sad about her, and you asked me like, why do you think she's here? And I thought to myself, like, it's even though it's very normal in films to just walk on your own and in interesting places, it's not that normal in everyday life. So I said to you that if I was to walk alone in the South Bank and just sit down and think for a while, something very powerful would have had to happen in my life. And you were curious to sort of pick that up, like, okay, what could that have been? I think we sort of continued on from there a little bit.
I think there was a bit of grounding there as well then, maybe for you, because immediately you just said something that triggers truth, where you said, what would have had to happen to me for me to come all the way here on my own to contemplate something that's happened in my life? And I think that was probably a place where you really grounded yourself as an actor, because you didn't separate your inner self from you and the character. You kind of became one.
Yeah, that's very true. And that really is sort of a very good sort of way to explain how we approached the rest of the film as well, in a way.
What happened after that then? What did we do after that?
God, these chairs are so squeaky. I know, we should probably sit on the floor actually. What happened after that? Well, we thought we were going to make maybe a few more short films that would interlink in a way, where this short film wasn't really about my character, but you got a glimpse into her world. The next film, you'd see her world and maybe meet another character who'd you continue in the next film. So we made the second sort of short film about this woman and the reason that she came to the South Bank. And that turned out to be a very intense breakup with her boyfriend. who was suffering from a mental illness. But we never really got past to the next short films because we were so interested in their story.
Yeah.
Because we just filmed their breakup scene and we're like, okay, but why did they break up? How did they get together?
That was so different to the rest of the film.
Yes.
But it was like a massive rehearsal for us.
Yeah, we didn't end up using that scene in the actual film in the end. We thought we would, when we started to create the feature film, we're working our way up to this point. But as we sort of traveled back in time, we saw, okay, that is not the end point anymore.
We didn't really know each other well either at that time, which was an interesting way to play.
Yeah, to improvise with someone. Again, that was also improvised, so you didn't really have a script. We knew, okay, the character is coming home and she's going to have a fight with her boyfriend and it's going to end with them breaking up.
There was a loose script, but we always said, don't stick by those lines, let's just make it your own. You know, the script was, he was jealous that she went out, didn't tell him. And,
it was a workaholic thing.
Yeah, it was a workaholic thing, but then we put some more layers on it, which were that she didn't want to come home because she was a bit scared of him. Yeah. Because of this potential mental illness. Yeah. So it was layered. It wasn't just I'm out with someone else.
No, yeah. We had like certain points we knew we had to meet. We filmed it several times, and each time some of the lines were a little bit different, but we hit those sort of points that we knew we needed to get. Yeah. You know, okay, we need to get there, and you need to accuse me of this, and I need to accuse you of that, and it needs to end with regret on sort of both.
Yes.
Yeah, a remorse. Yeah.
And I remember that even though we kind of semi-planned the way it should go every time we did it.
It was a little bit different.
It was very different. I've seen the rushes.
Did you edit it?
No, I've gone through all the rushes though. I haven't edited. I'm going to edit it though one day.
It's never going to be possible to edit.
Yeah, no, it will. It's just that every time we filmed it, something completely new develops with the characters, and that's when Nick and Katerina really started to be born. Yeah, definitely. I don't even know if we knew the names of the characters then. No. I don't think we did. I don't think I ever called you by name, but we'll have to watch the rushes for that. I think you called me. We just couldn't remember them.
No, maybe Nick, maybe. Who knows?
Oh, man.
But that was very intense.
So after that, you went through a few months of not knowing where the film, what we were making, but you were committed, weren't you, to something? Why was that?
That is very hard to say, because obviously even just that improvisation, because we were so in it, it was, in a way, it was two strangers really screaming at each other for 3 hours straight, and it was like, okay, do you want to do that again? Yeah, sure.
And I think you hated me that night.
Oh, I absolutely did.
You probably hated me every night we filmed on this film, didn't you?
No, not every night. But yeah, I came home and I was just furious. I was like, oh my God, we've just been arguing for hours. And my flatmate had to remind me that, no, you were acting. And I was like, well, didn't feel like that at the time.
Oh man, I actually had you up against the wall.
Yeah, you did. It was like, and I had to push you, and I was crying, and it was very...
dramatic.
Yeah. But at the same time, that's what an actor longs for, An actor wants to really get their teeth into something and almost feel that it's real. Well, at least that's what I want.
Is that why you came back?
Yeah.
For more?
For more of that challenge.
Yeah. And then we didn't just play screaming all the way through this film.
Oh, no, definitely not. I think we had after that, we went into the early parts of their relationship, where it was very much smiles and love and seeing how they fell in love. Which then it got a bit hard imagining, okay, how did they end up screaming and pushing each other against a wall? Yeah. Because we only had the love bit at first.
And I changed Nick quite a bit after that. I felt like he was out of complete control too early. And it was more interesting to make him quieter. Yeah. And your character just became very layered, didn't it?
Very. Yeah.
It was really, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like she was about survival, conflict. Yeah. Inner conflict, perhaps.
Yeah. I love that about Katrina. Sorry, I don't know my character's name. What I love about her is how human she is, and it's very human to the people that you love the most are the ones that you will feel comfortable enough to pick a very unnecessary fight with about absolutely nothing. And just keep picking and not saying sorry, because maybe in the back of your mind you think it's gonna be fine anyway because you love each other.
That's how they sort of developed Nick and Kat, really. They had a strong, deeper understanding, and that is what I wanted to capture on camera, because there's a lot of stuff in the film where we just sort of connected but not really talking, but each scene there's a different emotional energy, right? Even in the love stuff there was a certain one. Each scene the psychology changes slightly, I feel, in this film, like a big clock ticking, and you see it very subtly, but by the time you've reached the hour something's hit you. Time's passed and they've changed. Yeah, because
for you subconscious feelings and psychology was very important for you to sort of bring into the film and not just sort of show a two-dimensional love story. It's very yeah, that's true. How did that play out for you? What did you... That's when your character was going more into towards psychosis. Yeah, psychosis. Well, also, I think more in terms of how you were playing Katerina. I think she noticed in a way. It's hard if someone says they're okay, you kind of believe they're okay, but there's a part of you that sort of notices something isn't quite right here. Something feels familiar to me in a way, because Katerina had a bit of a messy past, and when she felt that, okay, something is getting a bit messy again, I can't put my finger on what it is, but there's something here. What's changed in your life since you've made this? Has it affected you as an actor, I think is the question. Oh, definitely. Playing Katerina has been I would say it's a highlight of my career so far. I'm 25, so, but it definitely is. She's the most challenging role I've ever played, and the most honest role that I've ever played, because I had to give a lot of myself. And that taught me again to dare to be completely vulnerable on camera, and to dare to, and that's not just the crying bit, there's a smiling bit, that is the love bits, everything, to just sort of remember how I am in those moments and just show it and hope that the audience sort of accepts me for it, because there is a lot of me in there. Do you feel that she's flawed, Katerina, or how do you judge her now as a person? Well, I was very concerned. I told you at some point that I was very concerned the audience was just going to think I was a bitch. It's like, oh no, you're ruining my character, Raph. They're going to hate her. Yeah, you were worried at one point, but I was like, don't worry, I've got your back. But it was more about investigating her and making her interesting. But how do you feel about her now? I have a lot of love for Katerina. I see her mistakes, and I see what I see that she's not the best communicator in the world, but who is, I'm not either. But I see that she's a very good person. But she's a bit stubborn. I think when she makes a decision that she believes is right, no spoilers, but she has a secret throughout the film, and she believes it's best not to share it, or it's kind of open if she does in the end or not. But it's very like, okay, that's her decision, and it doesn't seem like she has anyone to reach out to get a different perspective. How did that feel to be able to carry that secret as Katerina? It's quite an interesting thing to play when a character carries a secret, right? Yeah. It's that reminding yourself every time you say a word or every time you speak a sentence, there's something else that you really want to say, and that's very frustrating. So every word sort of that comes out after that sounds a bit agitated because there's something else that you want to say. That's really good. And actually, that's a really good for an actor to play, isn't it? Where you're carrying something in the scene that you mustn't articulate. It really gives you a good standpoint, doesn't it? Because if someone says to you at the beginning of a scene, I feel, this is your secret. Yeah. Immediately gives you a really good starting point, doesn't it? Yeah. And Katerina seems to have had a couple of secrets all the way through the film. What were they? Well, actually, without spoilers. Yeah. No, without spoilers, Katerina, first of all, something that she never admits, doesn't really speak too much about, is her past. She has a certain trauma in her past. And then there's something that happens throughout the film that she doesn't reveal. that she probably should have told the other male lead, Nick. And then there's also hinted at is that it's, even though Nick is the one that is being promoted as having the most obvious sort of mental illness, everyone does struggle with their own bits, you know. Katarina probably does have something herself, but it's not really brought to life because she doesn't like to talk about it. She's in a way similar to Nick. They're very private people, and that's why it's hard for them to communicate their truths.
Yeah, that's really good, because the one thing I learned during making the film is that people with, even on the massive spectrum of mental health, that have something going on, they practice a bit of avoidance.
Yeah.
And so I feel that was the energy that got in the way of Nick and Katarina.
Secrets.
And you mention it in the film, don't you? You kind of say, oh, secrets now.
Yeah.
And that was and somebody who watched the film already picked up on that and said, oh yeah, but because I was defending Nick probably, and he said, yeah, but she caught you on the secrets. You had too many secrets. And I thought, oh, there you go.
Yeah, but so does she.
But they were almost like mirroring each other.
That's the thing about secrets. If are you keeping it to protect yourself or to protect the other people involved, you know? Because I think both of them thought at one point, I'm not just protecting myself here, I'm protecting the other person, you know?
That's really well observed.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure I sort of saw it like that, but that was quite brilliant. But that's what it's been great working with somebody who asks questions of my character as well, and your character, even though the whole story is very loosely based on my parents, which I've come clean with, but we found our own sort of characters' journeys. And the other thing I think I've learned, I don't know if you have, but there are parallels in every single relationship. That we started out thinking Nick and Katarina, and then it fell back to my parents, and then I thought, and everybody who watches it at the moment seems to project their own life experience in little parts, right?
Yeah, I think projection is very powerful here as well. Because at some point, when my character does pick up something from you, she immediately is projecting the negative experiences in her life and thinks, okay, it's going to be the same, you're the same, so I'm going to start pulling away in a way, you know?
That's brilliant.
That's probably what Nick is doing as well. Okay, I have to keep this secret because in the past it's been like this and that.
Yes.
And I think you will be the same.
That's very good.
So projection is a dangerous thing.
Projection.
Yeah, can be a dangerous thing.
And defense.
Yeah.
Projection and defense maybe would be another title for this. Every time we talk about it, we explore different aspects of both characters. The horror, I think, it's been easier working with you because you were so open to investigating what these people are all about. Yeah. And I think that brought us, that my biggest anxieties in the first place were whether we were able to keep this thing interesting. We kind of argued at times, didn't we, off camera, because we were so in the characters. Not argued, but we were kind of comfortable with each other, that you were able to challenge me about storylines, character journeys, not in a way that an actor would with a director per se, but in a way that two people were working together, right? Yeah.
And there was a friendship there as well, so I felt very comfortable with you, which was very different from the first thing we ever did, you know, the first argument scene when we didn't know where it was going to go.
Yeah.
Even though we weren't really that comfortable with each other, we were still very open. But that's why I was, for example, angry after the first one, because I didn't know you that well. And it just felt like, oh my God, I've just had this massive argument with a stranger. And then over the course of the film, as we really got to know each other, we felt very comfortable arguing.
So in a way, that was a good scene to shoot first, because it kind of opened us up, right?
Yeah, definitely.
To sort of say, oh, we can go that far, and it's still only acting.
Definitely.
That was an important one for us. Yeah. For me, as a filmmaker, it was important for me to know that you were there, able to. She's got a cramp now. As in filming, I knew when to say cut.
Yeah, you definitely did.
But your worst experience on the film?
My worst experience? I didn't have any bad experiences, but there was some... was probably the hallway scene, well, the stair scene, when my character was having a breakdown and I just couldn't get there. It was something not right about the energy. I just didn't know where I was going, and I was panicking because I felt like this is so monumental for her, and like I can't cry, I can't feel anything. All I feel is this panic.
And what was the lesson in that? Apart from use the panic.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the lessons. My director, Raffaello, up and told me, like, it's okay. Whatever it is that you're feeling at this moment, it's okay. Just use it and we'll film what we can. And if not, maybe we'll have to come and do it another day.
Which I knew we wouldn't, but it kind of frees you up.
It should do. It made me feel less guilty, because you feel, when you're in a scene, you feel like you're carrying the scene, and you think, okay, if I don't get this right, it's like it's my fault, and that can help add the panic.
From my point of view, you nailed it in that scene, and it was a good chance for me to sort of scream in your face and get away with it. But I think you're most. One of the
context here, he came up to me when I was struggling with the acting. I was like, I don't know what to do, I can't do it. And he came up to me, well, you completely did this and that to my character, and rah, 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 really getting into character. And I was like, okay, fine then.
But I would talk to you as if I was Nick, I think.
Yeah, you did. He spoke to me as if he was the character. But still, I was in a state of panic, so I was like, I can't hear you right now.
Yeah. I think the moment that sticks out for me is when I knew you were doing a really good job as an actor in this film. Well, me and you went on the motorbike one night, and there was nobody else there apart from a gimbal that we clamped onto the front of the motorbike. And the motorbike was a symbolism for me of this guy stuck in his own head in the helmet, and for the first time he had someone on the back who was in unison with him on this solitude journey. And I had no idea what we got that night. We went out, it started to rain. Yeah. It was crap. You were committed, and I thought, because it's hard. You get a motorbike, you go out and you think, we're going to make a film, and we had hardly shot anything at that point, and we're just like a 2mm camera in the middle of Soho.
It was December, it was freezing, and you were like, oh, I can get you an Uber home if you want to. I was like, nope, I am staying, we're doing this.
You did talk for me 3 days afterwards. But...
Oh my God, yeah, it was freezing.
But when I watched The Rushes with Charlie, there were these really special little moments that you used your eyes from an inner place to describe how you felt about Nick, and with the flick of an eye a relationship was built. And that is in the film. And if you can do it in that scenario where there's nobody observing you and you're committed to their character to that degree, then you deserve the very best as an actor, because you committed in the worst case scenario on the motorbike when the rain was falling, a crappy old camera on a clamp that kept falling off, and you stuck it out. And when I saw The Rushes, I knew I had to commit to finishing a film after that, because if somebody can do that and tell a story with a flick of an eye, then I had a responsibility to complete this film for somebody.
Oh, that's lovely. I didn't know that you liked it that much. That's nice. That's a nice way to put it around.
Really lovely little
subtle. Thank you.
This film was made in the details.
Yeah, that's so very true.
And other moments were... I'm just sort of flashing. Having to direct you and Pernilla in Norwegian.
In Norwegian, yeah.
That was special for me, because even though those scenes were written, you guys picked it up and did it in your way, right?
Yeah, we had to translate it, because obviously Raf doesn't speak Norwegian. You should do really after 6 months of this. Now I know, yeah. So we had to translate it sort of on the day and then do the scenes, but I think we did stick to the script as much as humanly possible, but changed a few things just to add a little bit more of Norwegian-ness to it. Yeah.
Actually, if there was any day of filming that felt the most similar to being on one might call a normal movie, would be that day for me.
Yeah, so you just got to direct almost. Well, you had one scene with Pernilla.
That's true, but also you guys acted very professional. Yeah. She was extremely professional. She came in and learnt it basically in Norwegian and so we knew we had to stick by it to some degree, because you and I were used to going off book.
Yeah, but because here we had to edit as well,
and we had to respect the actors that were coming in and the way they work, as we always did.
Yeah, Pernilla was lovely because we didn't know each other and we had to play flatmates and best friends, and luckily we got on like a house on fire.
You really did straight away.
Yeah, and Raf had to tell us at a certain point, like, stop giggling and get back in the scene. You're meant to be crying.
You guys got on fast. I mean, within 15 minutes, you looked like you'd really had lived together.
Yeah, it was. Well, she did. Yeah, she was extraordinary. It was an amazing experience. It was really lovely to act in Norwegian.
It was nice. It was nice, and I just had to trust the energy of that.
Yeah.
And I had a monitor that day, which I don't usually get to have when I'm in the scene.
That's very true. Now that I think about it, you rarely have a monitor. But yeah, very, very professional day.
Next time I'm going to get a monitor on my iPhone so I'm in the scene and I can look down. See, that was the problem with it. I was never able to judge the scene fully, only from my sensory hearing and what I could see with my eyes when I was in it, rather than on a monitor. I was able to see if the beats were being hit by you guys. Leaving acting behind now, what other complications did you have making this film? What did you have to overcome through the journey of coming home, dealing with other people, not understanding quite what we were making, etc.?
It's using this term very loosely. People, if you say that, oh yeah, I'm trying to make a film with almost no budget, they will think you're crazy. Or maybe even more hurtful, they won't believe in you. It's as simple as that. People, in general, people don't believe you. And it requires you to sort of be very stubborn in your own belief, and to know that no matter if people be like, oh, okay, that's nice, and they don't really follow through with like, oh, so what's that going to be? Because there's no excitement around it because they don't believe you yet. Mm-hmm. And that excitement comes later when you have something to bring to the table and be like, see, this is what I'm doing. So I think I really learned that you can say that you're going to do something, but until you prove at least that you've started it, people won't really believe you.
Mm-hmm. It also gives you the leverage to go, I actually want to make this work really well now, because everybody's doubting it so much that I want to prove my point. And that's how I feel anyway. You feel like you're under judged, sort of a chair of questions all the time. Do you feel that? Because I do. Yeah, definitely. And it's hard to explain as well, because it's probably true for any sort of creative journey that you are having. It's so very different and so unique to what you are creating. So when you're trying to explain it to people, unless they've been through something similar, then it's hard to explain. And it's very hard for them to understand. So at some point, they're just going to have to sort of accept what you're saying and say, okay, I believe you. But yeah, I'm the sort of person who really want to convince people as well. And that's hard because people won't be convinced until you show them the work. So delayed gratification. Yeah, we just got to trust in that. But in the end, I got to the point, and I think you did, which was, although we wanted to produce something that was really watchable for people, we also felt like the expression of making it itself was quite satisfying, wasn't it? Yeah, I came home and I knew, even the scenes that were very hard to do, very, very hard to do, but I came home and I knew I've done a really good job here, you know? I know that I have. And there's nothing that anyone can say or do that can take that away. That I know that I'm good at this. Because being an actor, you have about feeling. Yeah, you have a lot of no's and you have a lot of rejections in the creative field. But going to work and knowing, actually, I did a really good job and I am good. So the fact that I'm getting no's sometimes, it doesn't mean that I'm not good. So in a way, that's our currency. Yeah. Is that our instincts know that when we've come home, we must continue, because you hit such a truthful place, because we had characters with so many layers to play, and the more we filmed, the more interesting they became. And in the end, I came to the point where I stopped feeling I had to prove anything to anybody, actually. I was just happy with the journey. Yeah. And people come in and go, oh, this, that. And it's the same analogy I use when you refurbish a house. Not everybody that walks through the door is going to see it in the same way. Yeah, but towards the end as well, what was interesting, because in the beginning, it's sort of, you had to sort of drag people on set. Well, Sam was very good. We had a very good DOP who came along and was willing to help us out. But in the beginning, it was very much trying to convince people to come on board and do a scene with us or help us out in this way or that way.
But as we were nearing the end, we felt very much energy from people who were almost asking to be involved in it.
So true.
And that was so lovely, and I never had a moment of haha, I was right. It was more like, oh my god, thank you, that is amazing that you are enjoying what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a little bit of a technique at first, which was we'd shoot something and I'd edit it so that we could show people
immediately. Yeah, that
which
was nice.
Which is what brought Pernilla in. So we used that technique, the concept trailer.
Oh, the concept trailer. I was thinking about the psychwater scene.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Well, that's another point of discussion, actually.
Yeah. I was about like, is that a spoiler?
So we shot the... Yeah, we've got to watch our spoiler here, but we can probably...
part of the ending.
A big ending scene between the two characters.
Again, very early.
So early on. And the pros and cons of that were... We knew where the film had to go after that.
Yeah.
The con of it was... Everything had to match in a way, right?
And in a way, it's like, is this enough? This moment that we're doing here, is that enough to lead to that ending, or do we need more of a journey to get there?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I feel like, okay, we've gone from this scene to that scene. Do we need something in between them to connect it? Or
Do you remember at that point at Christmas when I sent you that, and we probably only had 15 minutes of the film, which was 12 minutes was that scene. It's real. And now that, and we kept sort of what's the word, encouraging one another that we were going to make this film, right? That's the one thing we did. We didn't shut each other down. No,
there was never a case of no, you know, it was always very positive.
Sort of faith. We had a lot of faith, didn't we?
A lot of faith and a lot of I want to use the word like madness or crazy, but it's not the word that I'm really looking. It's a lot of passion, you know, and it comes out in a lovely way, hopefully on screen. But yeah, the ending was seeing that ending when it was, we did it, and it was such a powerful day where it was a lot of emotions because it was a very, very emotional scene. Again, no spoilers, but I felt it as we were doing it, that it was so right. And then to see it edited, and I showed my mother, and she immediately also told me, my mother's a very blunt woman who told me it was good, you know, it was good, and she got an emotional reaction from it. That's when I sort of knew, okay.
It feels like that's saying something from what I know about Norwegians now.
They're very blunt. I'm not as blunt, I will say. I'm very
Anglified in that way. That was a big that's the other part of this discussion, is the faith we had with hardly any resources at that point.
No money.
We didn't. Well, I was just using my money, and then we found an investor, didn't we? He came on board.
So lovely, Bill
Bossett.
Wouldn't be possible if not. Well, hopefully it would, but major thanks.
Well, it would happen anyway, but I think Bill's just been incredible and creative in all of it. But I'm going to end this now, part one.
Okay.
But if you got anything that jumps to mind that you want to talk about before we go into another part later down the line, but I just felt like this was a very important sort of outlay. It's good for us as well as actors, having been through such a long journey.
On it,
exactly.
Definitely.
And we still got a bit of a journey to go. I mean, we're sitting here, and I think we've still got faith, haven't we, that it's going to be shown on the big screen somewhere.
Yeah, it's a waiting game right now, and it's really just a fun game to play in the world, but it's still faith.
We'll end it on faith.
Yeah, faith. Have it in people and in art.
We got the same blood type.